Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. The time is 12:48 p.m. on April 5th. I'm calling to order our meeting of the Election Law Subcommittee within the Ways and Means Committee. We have several bills that we have up for discussion and voting today. Let's go ahead and start with SB 494, Election Law Post-Election Procedures. This bill is a cross-file to a bill that we previously passed, and I'm pretty sure it was unanimous. The House bill was sponsored by Delegate Fair. This is the one that deals with implementing national and federal best practices around our post-election procedures after our Maryland elections. Any questions or discussion about this one? It's in the same exact form. All right, I would like to entertain a motion on Senate Bill 494.
Move favorable.
Move favorable, Madam Chair.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion on SB 494? Seeing none, all those in favor of Senate Bill 494, please say aye or raise your hand. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Senate Bill 494 moves forward from subcommittee to the full committee as favorable. Okay, moving forward to our next two bills. These are cross files. I'd like to discuss them together. House Bill 371, Election Law Recounts Procedures. So now we're dealing with recounts. So HB 371 and its cross file SB 115. I'll generally go over what these bills did as introduced. There are amendments, and I'm going to ask Stan to talk about the amendments to these bills. HB 371 and SB 115 are emergency bills, and they improve the practices for election recounts in Maryland. They require that a petitioner for a recount has to select a method for conducting the recount, such as rescanning the ballot, a manual recount of the paper ballots, or any other method approved by the state administrator. It also requires a local board of elections to preserve and store voter verifiable paper records together with their duplicate ballots, and that in a manual recount, you must count the voter verifiable paper records as the paper version that is fed into the machine. And then in an automated recount, you have to follow the requirements that are outlined in the bill related to duplicate ballots. So that's how the bills as they came in, what they did, and Stan, if you can explain the amendments to these bills.
Sure, Madam Chair. So basically, the amendments, we're actually going to have to modify a little bit the amendments that were distributed earlier based on discussion with the chair of the Montgomery County Board of Elections. And as you know, they have some very recent experience with major recounts. So the amendment for your consideration, so it would, and this would be in the Senate bill reprint, Senate Bill 115 on page 3. We would strike lines 15 through 17. And then we would change the subsection E so that it would apply to all recounts. Currently, that subsection only applies to ballot recount that's conducted by rescanning the ballots. And basically, the reason for this amendment is that the Montgomery County Board of Elections feels that the rules should be consistent for conducting all kinds of recounts, and that basically what happens is when there's two ballots, so when there's a need to duplicate the ballot because the ballot that the voter submitted is not scannable, and there's different reasons for that. It could be because it was an internet delivered ballot that is sent in on regular ballot paper. It could be because it's a mail-in ballot that includes a mistake that makes it unscannable, but the voter's intent is still clear. So when you've got an original ballot and a duplicate ballot, in a recount, basically you examine the original ballot, you examine the duplicate ballot, you determine the one that represents the voter's intent, and then you count that ballot. So that's the rule under the amendment that you can consider now. That would be the rule that applies to all recounts. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to try to answer.
Okay, so instead of saying, do it this way in a manual, do it this way in an automated, et cetera, this, we're saying by amendment that at all times, you'll take a look at the original and the duplicate and move forward with the one that represents the voter's intent.
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, were there other amendments? Was that the only amendment to the bill, or are there other amendments?
That's it, Madam Chair.
Okay, all right, got it. Delegate Griffith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick clarification. So like when Harford County does their, when they're going through the ballots, the Board of Elections would put up on the screen, explain the decision made, whether the ballot has to be remade, identify the intent. So this is still going to be voted on by the Board of Elections as they're reviewing each of these ballots in question. This is just codifying the process and requiring that these ballots are maintained, like we keep a record of them.
Yeah, this is really, and Jared, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is really just codifying current practice across the state. Is that correct?
Yes, this is right, because and that was the other part in C, which is that they preserve the two ballots together. So yes, that part is not being changed whatsoever, and everything else is, going to be brought up on the screens just like as in before.
No, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. One question I have where it talks about an automated recount. Can Mr. Demarinis or Stan explain to us what that means versus the other ones?
So the amendments actually strike the term automated recount because it's kind of unclear what that is. An automated recount is rescanning the ballots. It's just putting the ballots back through the scanners, and it would probably be the scanners that we currently have. It allows for the possibility that there might be other equipment, but that's what an automated recount is. It's just rescanning the ballots rather than examining each one by hand.
Exactly.
Got it. And the amendments to SB 115 are the same to HB 371 since they're cross files, right?
That's right.
Okay. So is there any other questions or discussion on the bill or the amendments? Delegate Fair.
Just to be clear, the amendments to the House bill, the amendments are already on the Senate bill as it's presented to us. So we're just simply are we adding additional amendments to the Senate bill?
So I had to orally explain because the changes were made at the last minute. I had to orally describe the amendments. They're a little different than the written ones that you have in front of you. So you would have to adopt the amendments as orally described by me on both bills.
Gotcha. But did the Senate bill come over already amended from the House
did.
bill in a different posture?
Yes. And I drafted the same amendments to the House bill, but we have to modify both bills based on the oral description I gave.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that, Stan.
Mm-hmm.
All right. For efficiency, I'd like to move these bills forward together. If everyone understanding that the amendments is a verbal amendment that we have described, which will make sure that the different types of recounts are treated in the same way. So is there a motion on moving House Bill 371 and Senate Bill 115?
I'm sorry, do we have to move the amendments or no?
The amendments, thank you, I should have clarified. The amendments to House Bill 371 and SB 115.
Move favor?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion on the amendments? All right, seeing none. All those in favor of the amendments to House Bill 371 and SB 115, please raise your hand or say aye. All right, any opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The amendments have been added to HB 371 and SB 115. Is there a motion on the bill as amended? Both
Move
bills.
favorable.
Second.
All right, HB 371 and Senate Bill 115 as amended. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of HB 371 and SB 115 as amended, please raise your hand or say aye. Okay, any opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The subcommittee moves forward with HB 371 and SB 115 as amended. Okay, our final bills, the same drill in terms of these being cross-filed bills. We have House Bill 459 and Senate Bill 417. These bills, as they came in, require SBE to evaluate the performance of the state administrator at least annually. It also requires the state administrator to give a performance evaluation of the election directors of each local board of elections at least annually as well. It also requires local boards to confer with the state administrator when appointing a local election director, and requires that the state administrator must be notified within 24 hours in writing if there are any security violations or damage to the office, warehouse, or voting related materials. Any, Stan, does this have amendments?
It does. The Senate bill has an amendment. The House bill doesn't. The Senate bill amendment just strikes some language. And I'll just direct the subcommittee to that language that's struck. So that is on page 4, lines 8 through 12 are struck in the amendment to Senate Bill 417. And that language just it authorizes the state administrator to seek the feedback of individuals that the election director works with when writing the evaluation of the election director.
So by striking it, it removes that they'll seek that input?
I think it would already be permitted without it needing to be stated, but Jared can respond to that.
I mean, it's just too prescriptive, and so yes, I mean, the evaluation is like any performance evaluation on, seeking input from individuals, but it's also, whether it could just be on compliance on just state policy and state law, canvassing. So yes, it would be automatically a part of any evaluation. It doesn't have to be written in law.
So somehow that language was in the Senate version, but not in the House version.
Just because we never took up the House version, so the Senate passed the bill and added that language.
Okay, got it. Delegate Roberts.
Okay, I just have a question about what is the current process for hiring or appointing an election director?
And I'll let Jared go into more detail, but it's the local boards appoint the election director.
Yes. So whenever there's a vacancy, that membership body, we facilitate I would say the ads and making sure that the compiling the list, but the local boards themselves would do the hiring. In this scenario here with this bill here, it allows us to kind of just help advise them to see if they have any questions or technical questions on what would be required of an election director. But they still have 100% the authority on hiring. That is clear in the bill.
Okay. Ooh. Okay. That I don't know if you broke up for anybody else, but you broke up for me. Oh no, excuse me. It says my connection is slow.
Okay, I'd like us to move forward and vote these bills. I will do them separately since one has an amendment and one doesn't. So let's move forward with House Bill 459 in terms of a motion.
Move favorable.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded, no amendments. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of House Bill 479, please raise your hand or say aye.
Just to clarify, Madam Chair, it's 59 or 79?
Oh, 459. I
Sorry.
don't know what I said, but 459, thank you. All those in favor of 459, please say aye or raise your hand. Okay, any opposed? The ayes have it. House Bill 459 moves forward to the full committee favorably. Next, Senate Bill 417, which has amendments, a motion on the amendments.
Move the amendment.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion on the amendment to SB 417? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment to SB 417, please raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. SB 417 has been amended. On the bill as amended.
Move favorable.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Senate Bill 417 as amended. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none. All those in favor of SB 417 as amended, please raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. We're moving forward. Senate Bill 417 to the full committee favorably. I believe that ends our work for today. Am I missing any bills, Stan?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, great. Well, we have no further plans to meet at this point, but we'll see. So please do stay tuned. And thank you everyone for the great meeting and discussions as always.